All right, everybody, we are back and we are about to go get it again. Ladies and gentlemen, your world television champion for the AIWF, the Flynn Hendrix Entertainment champion, the alpha dog of entrepreneurship, the guy who wrote his own book and who has been one of my favorite guests on the show in the past is back with us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't pick up what I was putting down about going and getting it, let me just go ahead and lay it out for you. I've got Corey Dissin back on the show, and we are going to go the distance today and talk about his new book. Dude, Corey, like we were talking about before we started going, hitting record, you're traveling coast to coast. You're all over the place, but you're here now, and I appreciate you making the time to do it.
In the immortal words of Eminem, guess who's back?
Back again.
Back again, baby. Back with the man, Mr. Hendrix himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is something too. Like, dude, I'm in awe that you did this because I remember the countdowns and everything you were doing about the big announcement. And unfortunately, due to some work obligations, I couldn't be there for the live stream of it. But dude, you wrote a book, which I've got right here. I'm an English major. I love to read, and I just love the process that goes into making a book, taking the time to sit down and do it. So let's talk about that. Like, with your busy schedule, what made you want to take this onto your plate and what prompted you to do it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that influenced why I wrote the book. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a love letter to my family, to people who I look up to, people who mentored me, but also, leave it to me to try to weave in a larger lesson to anything I'm trying to do. Because
right.
You see it all the time out in social media land that person X or person Y says, I'm going to do this. And then down the road, I'm going to do that. And then I'm working on this and I have this in progress. Well, as you can tell, I said not a peep about this book to anyone.
Yep.
The entire time I wrote it. And there was a point that I was making. It's like, A, keep your mouth shut until your work's done.
Yep.
Number one. And number two, don't tell me you don't have time to chase your goals, to chase your dreams.
Absolutely.
Because, here I am, coaching people, running a design company, chasing my son around as he's playing professional baseball, obviously, being a family man with my wife.
Yep.
And I have all of these commitments but yet I made time. I spent almost 8 months writing this book. And I didn't say a word to anybody, just got it done. I figured it out, and it was not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are workouts that I've done in the gym that have been less taxing than doing this book. And anybody who follows me or has seen me online, I like to pick up big things and put them down again.
You took the words out of my mouth.
This little thing is probably 50 times heavier than the biggest weight I've tried to pick up, because it's a lot of work. I mean, we did 13 rounds of revisions to this book, man. 13 edits. Man. So I read the book probably 15 times before I said enough already. Let's get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, just looking at it too. I mean, talking about, you're always talking about dropping the hurting bombs and everything. I mean, you can tell that you've gone through a physical transformation, and right on the cover as well, since I've known you. And then on top of that too, you're doing this like twice a day. You're getting in there at 5 in the morning, doing empty stomach cardio, doing the weights later in the day. And then you're traveling coast to coast to support your son. You're making the family time. And literally, I think the biggest thing is you see a lot of people on social media, especially in the acting and the networking realms, that say, put it out in the universe, let it come to you. But you open yourself up to that negativity, the scrutiny and everything. And anybody has a keyboard, has an opinion, whether they've done it or not. And the fact that you kept this tight-lipped and under wraps, and then you release it and it's had the success that it has, is just absolutely insane. I love the not to play a pun on words, but the discipline and the dedication that you brought to it. And it's a fantastic thing to see, because it breaks the status quo of what everybody else is doing on social media and shows that you don't have to play in those clicks and play by those games to get this stuff done.
I pontificate a lot about it. A lot of things you just mentioned with a lot of my content.
Oh yeah.
And a big thing that is sort of a pillar of the go get it lifestyle is you have to be able to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, and leading by example. I can in good conscience request to be compensated to coach someone and tell them how to live their life, how to go chase their dream, if I'm not setting the example myself. So the
Absolutely.
pressure is on me to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I'm conducting myself the right way. I'm putting myself out there saying, hey, this is how you work hard. I'm showing it every day. It's very transparent. I mean, we can joke, if someone ever wanted to assassinate me, I'm the easiest man to find, because you can set your watch where I'm going to be,
Yep.
5 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., so on and so forth.
And if you're
Because I have
traveling,
the
you put
same
that out there too.
every day. So it's like, I'm getting after it every day. I'm not just, yes, I put out a book that has life lessons in it that you can take with you and help to, chase your dream or pursue your goals. But at the same time, the process of writing a book,
Right.
I did it. And by the way, that's the same guy on the back too.
Absolutely.
Got down to 17% body fat for those pictures.
Man, I'm trying to follow in your footsteps right now.
And for a 50-plus-year-old man, that's considered elite.
That is 100%.
Bodybuilders are like 10%. But I went from probably about 27%, which is, you better go to the doctor right now. Because I was bulky, very bulky. And then to get prepared for this, I carved down to 17%, and I was pretty ripped.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell too, like just the pictures you post, the shoulders are the thing that stick out to me, the upper body. It's that wrestler mentality of big upper body. That's the first thing I noticed. And man, I feel like I got to keep up with you trying to sling the weights around, because I got to do that after we get off here. And man, it never ends. It never ends, but it's fun and it's a great release from it. But
good for the mental.
Yes,
mental side.
very much so. And then, just talking about that part of it too, the mental side of it, what was the biggest obstacle that you faced putting pen to paper and making this book happen?
I mean, one big challenge was, so without giving away too much detail of the book, we talk about the 10 people that influenced my life and impacted my life and career the most, was whittling that list down. Because you started off by, 30, 35. And you start to think about, who really has a whole chapter dedicated to them. There's lots of little stories, lots of little people that influenced me that are still in the book anyway. They might not have a chapter devoted to them. They're mentioned, either woven into a chapter, or at the end, I acknowledge a ton of people. But, so figuring out that list was tough. I mean, writing the paragraphs about my parents, which are in there. I mean, for my mother, who's no longer with us, that was probably one of the tougher things I had to go through. And then for my old man, because I wanted to make sure that this was a proper tribute, an accurate representation of how things were, because he's real big on legacy, as you will learn from the book if you read it. And I wanted him to sleep well at night knowing that his legacy is secure, that his son did it and said it the right way, and I wanted his stamp of approval. So I was very careful in how I put this together, because if there was something that either rubbed him the wrong way or he didn't understand, he would let me know. He would not be shy about that. And he was let's just say it was a very emotional moment when I delivered the book to him, because he didn't know I was writing it either.
Wow.
There are only 3 people on this planet that knew I was writing that book the whole time. My wife was one, because she was literally, I lived in the same home with her.
Right.
My publisher, obviously working with the publisher, and my training partner, my buddy who trains me, because he knew he was getting me in shape for a cover shoot. So I didn't tell anyone else on purpose. But anyway, I digress a little bit.
I love it though. I mean, that's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you carry. I mean, it's a lot of people think it's just like putting pen to paper, getting creative or whatever, but there's a lot of things that you have to carry into that. Like you just said, you had to do your father's legacy justice. You had to revisit, the stories with your mother. And, I know that's still a fresh thing that just happened with her passing not too long ago. So there's a lot of things that you have to address to do this too. And man, it's a lot of things that go into this that I don't think people properly appreciate.
Not to mention the other folks in the book who are highlighted in the book that we're going to read the book.
Right.
You want to make sure you do right by them too. And these are, like I said, these are people I respect, looked up to, am thankful for. I show deference to these
Yep.
people. So, the last thing I wanted was to send them a book and go, yo, look what I did. And then they read it and they go, what is this nonsense? And
Yeah.
thank goodness they were all like, wow, how cool. Thank you. I can't believe you talked about this. I didn't remember this story. I got a lot of feedback like that. It was all positive. And thank goodness it was.
And that's something that you just mentioned right there that really jumps out, like that you remembered something. And, like with your crazy busy schedule, the travel, everything that we've been talking about up to this point, the stories that you've, backlogged, the life that you've lived, how do you go about remembering all that stuff and, making sure it gets in the book? How did you go about remembering all that?
Well, I mean, so I will reveal one, specific thing from the book, which answers your question.
Okay.
One of the life lessons in the book was from my old man. And he said, when people speak to you, don't just hear them, listen. And I was told that from diapers until I moved out, and even long after years, my old man hammered that in my head. When someone talks to you, most people, when they carry a conversation with you, they are simply waiting for you to finish so they can say what they've been thinking about. It was drummed into my head that you listen, that you pay attention, that you process what is going on, what is being said first, then talk back, then say what you think. Because A, you're going to show respect for that other person you're conducting the conversation with. Absolutely. And B, you're going to remember what was said to you. So, when you factor that in, that it was baked into the cake at an early age, plus, a lot of these little episodes and anecdotes were shared, whether they were in sales situations. I might talk to someone, I might pull this little nugget out of my head, or at the Thanksgiving dinner table, we would have a conversation. So they were said, a lot of these things were said a lot, enough that I could say, when I was putting my notes together, I literally wrote notes. Oh, I'm going to tell the story about this. Oh, let me add this in there.
Right.
And then as you start to zoom out, it was amazing how all of these little puzzle pieces started to fit together. And I was on another show earlier in the week, and I said, it's kind of like a weird game of Tetris. They all kind of fit together. And it's like, wow, when you're all done, you got this kind of wall that you built, and it's like, okay, it was just amazing how it all turned out.
I love that. And that's when people talk, listen, that's something that's so key. And that's something that I actually struggled with, like a while back before I really dove deep into acting, especially improv related, was trying to think 3 steps ahead, or just listening to respond and not listening to understand whether I realized I was doing it or not. But just listening and being in that moment helps you just be in the moment to actually sit there and understand what somebody's saying. And therefore it makes it easier to commit to memory. Like, that's a simple piece of advice, but it's so profound and so powerful for the impact that it really has. So, I mean,
it's a big help with marketing too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people will get into a sales situation where they might have a prospect on the hook, and they so bad want to pitch. Listen, here's all my services. Here's what I do well. Here's all my experience. Here's all the reasons why you should hire me. If they just shut their big yapper and listen to the other person, they will navigate you where to go in the conversation to lead them to purchasing from you, because they're going to tell you what their hot buttons are, what matters to them, what their experience is, what problems are they having. And I had to learn that too. Just, in my career journey, the best sales calls are when you have an uncomfortable silence.
Mm-hmm.
Who can shut up the longest?
Right.
You can be quiet. Most times the other person on the other end is going to want to fill that dead space with something.
Yeah.
I had to learn that. I had to be trained to do that. Not in the book, but still relevant to our conversation.
Absolutely. And again, you hit the nail right on the head right there. Because a lot of people just want to go to pitch, sale, but they miss the point. And then, like you said, they can talk themselves out of sales. They can miss that uncomfortable silence where that person is literally, the wheels are turning and they're realizing, I just gave them all my problems and they might have the solution for like there's so many things that you can talk yourself out of trying to be 3 steps ahead.
There you go.
Oh man, and it's crazy. I wish I could have had that like 8 years ago and sales would have been a lot less stressful at that point. But anyway, that's another story here and there. But one thing too, like I keep going back to the travel that you've done because you know these emails come out like almost every other week that you're going to be traveling here, traveling there, can be contacted in the case of an emergency or something like that.
Sure.
How is your body adjusting and you're like how are you staying mentally sharp during all this to do these appearances to promote the book, get your training in and be there to support your son too? How are you doing all that with this travel schedule?
I mean, look, you know, when you're flying back and forth, you know, cross country from California to Florida, it does present some challenges.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, you what I do is I book appointments for myself.
Right.
And when I get to Florida, I know I'm going to go join a gym for a week. I know my son's games don't start till generally 6:30 and the ballpark opens at 5:30. So that means I got the whole first part of the day to go get a workout in.
Yep.
You know, is my diet perfect while we're going back and forth? Probably not, but that's okay. Am I probably drinking one too many adult beverages? Hey, I'm traveling with my wife. We're having a good time, you know.
Exactly.
But you know, you try to keep the routine as best you can. I prepare a lot of content in advance to take with me. I just you know, throw it on the phone and I'm ready to post every day. And, you know, checking messages, texts, DMs, emails is like breathing for me anyway. I don't look at them as interruptions. I look at them as opportunities.
I love that.
Some people say, oh man, my phone dinged again. Crap, I got to stop what I'm doing and answer. I'm like, when that thing dings, I'm like, that's an opportunity for me to earn money if I do the right thing. So I'm excited about that. And, you know, my wife and I joke and she's, oh, you got to get on the phone again. I say, you want me to buy you that purse, honey? You want that phone to ding.
That's
You
it.
know? So I am thankful for those problems. And, you know, look, I make it clear to my clients, and you've seen it in the emails, but I explain when we're on the phone before I leave too, is look, if you need me, you need to message me as if I'm working normally. The only thing that might change is, whereas you might not get an instant response, you know, literally if my kid is on deck or if he's hitting, you know, or if it's a tense inning and I'm sitting in the stands, you know, third row up from the on deck circle, well, you're going to wait until that's over. Absolutely. And then I can you know, shoot you a message back. But, you know, look, I don't put it out there in a way like, you're going to wait on me. You know, if anything, it's like, I'm going to do what I can to hustle to get back in touch with you.
Absolutely.
However, you know, what is important to me, the currency that I've fought so hard for, that I work so hard for, that I travel cross country for, all these things is QTL, quality time left with my wife, with my kids, with my family, going to those baseball games. That's, to me, is like the paycheck.
Absolutely.
You know, so
it's all about.
I'm gonna cash my check first.
Yep.
Then I'll take care of you.
Absolutely. And that's priorities right there too. And it gives a great insight into the character of the person that you're working with too, that they have those values, they have those standards, and that they're still going to make time for you as well. Like that's a lot. That says a lot about a person right there. But
thank you.
Of course. And just because I've got you know, a baseball player on my hands and I'm about to have two you know, a couple weeks after this airs, let's take a step away from the book for a second and talk about Jordan. So I want to know what it's like for you being a proud dad, being in the stands and seeing him do what he does, because I love seeing the post that you put out. My son loves seeing them because he's big into everything baseball. He's a utility player in the best sense of the word. Like he loves it. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. So what's it like for you seeing your son in that situation?
It's indescribable, man. To say that I'm proud really doesn't give it justice.
Right.
You know, obviously it's cool when you have a child that is a professional athlete. But what makes it even cooler is we were there from day one.
Yeah.
We were there from T-ball and Little League and middle school ball and, you know, going to the prep school, playing there, and the college recruiting process and going to 2 different colleges, moving cross country. We were there for the whole journey, the good and the bad. It wasn't all, a perfect road.
Right.
There were twists and turns and things you had to deal with, and people that told him, "Oh, it's going to be too hard," and the chances of you doing this are, and there was all this stuff.
Yeah.
And to see that he's doing it, and not just doing it, but really making a dent and a contribution, in professional baseball, it's very gratifying.
Absolutely.
And, I'm his biggest champion. He knows I'm president of the Jordan Dissin fan club. And, I, I often, my wife and I have discussed this more than once. You ever seen the movie Signs?
Yes.
Okay. And the premise of Signs is there are things, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. That's basically the premise of that movie, especially, and it has a baseball related theme when they say swing away.
Swing away. Yep.
Swing away. So I feel, and this sounds a little foo-foo-y, but I feel very much like my life has taken twists and turns in very much that swing away method. Like we had aspirations of not renting, of buying a motorhome.
Yeah.
We bought a motorhome. We lived in Virginia, and our plan was to follow our son around while he played college baseball. Well, it turns out college baseball in Virginia didn't turn out the way he wanted it to be, and we had to move cross country to California. Well, how did we get there? In a motorhome.
Mm.
I work in marketing. I
Yep.
build websites. I build logos. So when my son becomes a professional baseball player, he now has a website. He has, someone who knows how to negotiate contracts because he has a bat deal and a batting glove deal and all, and, knows how to deal with agents. I
Yeah.
dealt with agents my entire career in the entertainment business. So, all of those things, who we met while we were in Little League, which drove us to the prep school, and said everything happened for this reason. And I really think was my purpose, was to support him, to help him get there, help him open those doors. And now that he's walked through them, is to be his champion, his chief cheerleader, because he ain't done yet.
Right. No, just getting started.
I mean, he's definitely in an elite class, but he's at the bottom of the ladder in the elite class.
Right.
He made it out of rookie ball. He's in A ball. He's got a couple more steps to get to the show. Absolutely. And we're just, we're all rooting him on, and, just waiting on bated breath. I mean, one of the reasons why my schedule was what it is today is I have to be ready to watch the game. They're playing the Bradenton Marauders in the Florida State League today at 3:30 Pacific time. So
nice. Yep. And
I'll be ready to watch that game
too.
and he's in the lineup today. So, he texted me he lets me know what days he's in the lineup and what days he isn't. So we're there to support and root him on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's amazing, dude. I just couldn't be prouder of that young man. He's just an incredible kid, man.
Absolutely. And you can tell that he's got the best team behind him, had the best upbringing he possibly could. And it's funny that you mentioned things coming full circle too, or having those swing away moments. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time we talked, and it's crazy that it's been that long, I think you guys were actually in Virginia at that time, if I remember correctly.
Could be. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
That just clicked in my mind as you were saying it. I'm like, because I think I remember you going cross country right after our conversation. So man, that's crazy that this is where it is right now, but it all comes like it's all part of a bigger plan. Everything happens for a reason. So I mean, it's amazing.
I couldn't have written it that way. Could I have seen that we were going to go to Southern California so my son could play college baseball at a junior college, which we thought we were like kind of wrinkled our nose at junior college? Go figure. It was the greatest experience he's had. I mean, obviously aside from being drafted, but we've made friends. One of my best buddies here in Southern California was his third base coach at college. And me and him are, beer buddies, and damn if we're not brothers. But we came out here, and because we came out here, because of his baseball, he gets, noticed by Major League Baseball and gets drafted. Who would have figured? Thank goodness, but who would have figured?
Yeah, man, that's it's so amazing. And then, like you said, he's part of the elite, but he's still working his way up, and God knows he's got a lot left in the tank, and he'll get there. So
He's a baby. He just turned 21. He's a
oh,
baby.
man, that makes me feel old now. Jeez.
Yeah, he's barely 21. You know, he's playing with guys that are 22, 23, 24, and he's, you know, it's not like he's riding the pond. He's
Yeah.
playing significant innings every week. It's really fun to watch.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Man, and like like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to jump in here and not only catch up with me, but promote everything as well and trusting me to be part of the process for doing that. So I mean,
Oh man,
I really appreciate
wouldn't
that.
have it any other way, man. You're part of the family, brother.
I'm glad. I'm so glad and grateful for that too. But if we haven't already, like sold people on everything that you offer, from websites to marketing to just having somebody in your corner, or even just going out and buying this book, what would you say is the biggest reason to get Corey Dissin in your corner and become part of the Go Get It family?
Well, I'm a regular guy insisting on trying to do irregular things. And I tell people, most folks are working for the man.
Yep.
They're at a 9 to 5 or a survival gig, and they are trying to, they want to make their own rules. They want to be an entrepreneur. They want to work for themselves. They want all of that freedom and that liberation that comes with sometimes, being popular on social media for whatever it is. And what I try to explain to people is, what you want, I did. I didn't just talk about it. I didn't wish for it. I didn't read about it in some book. I lived it. And if you want someone who lived it, who really did it and still does it every day to get your back, it's a pretty easy phone call.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, just the things like, you've gotten me some previous guests on this show, like the hookups you had there, but more importantly, and I've touched on it before and I've talked to you about it, but I don't think I've given you enough credit for it in all honesty. But the slogan, go get it. When I was coming back into wrestling, I never thought I would be back in there again, but I came back with that mentality. I said it in the interview that I did at my return. A wise man told me, go get it. That's what I did. And that first year, despite everything,
who was that guy?
Exactly. I wonder who, but everything that was going on that first year personally was, just kind of like out of sight, out of mind compared to what was going on professionally. Because I mean, that was year 15 of a wrestling career. This is going in 16 now. And that was the biggest year I'd ever had. And it's only getting bigger from there, because now I can have world champion, like legitimate traveling world champion on my resume, all because of that simple mentality, because I wanted it. I went out and got it because of those 3 simple words and the motto that you put in my head. So, I mean, if I can do it and I can follow that mantra, what can he do for you?
Exactly. I mean, it's what it's all about. I mean, if you want something, go get it. I mean, stop talking about it. Stop dreaming about it. Stop wishing on it. Go get it. Do something. Take massive, relentless action to do it. And like I said, I've lived it, because, the very privileged life. I'm not a rich man, but I'm a privileged man. That I'm blessed that I get to live in Southern California, 10 minutes from the beach. I fly, across the country to watch my kid play pro ball. And I don't have to worry about being chained to a zip code or an office building or to a supervisor. That is something I took massive action to get to. That was my nirvana. That was my utopia. That's what I wanted. I didn't, I was all over. It was over for me as far as material wealth and houses and cars and all those toys and things. We downsized our life to be here, and we are happy as hell in the situation that we're in. But it didn't come without a ton of hard work and sacrifice.
That's the thing. And that makes you appreciate it that much more.
No doubt. Don't ever want to go back.
Nope. I get that 100%. Well, man, this has been fun catching up. And like I said, I love seeing all the updates about everything Jordan's got going on. I love seeing everything that you're doing. I love all the promotion for this book. And dude, I'm just glad that we got the chance to actually do this. And now I've got to start putting my nose in the book now that I'm caught up on everything else. So,
you're going to put your nose in this book. right?
That's it. Right.
Going the distance. There it is.
And we're
10
going to
rounds
make
to
it
a
easy.
championship life and career, my friends.
Absolutely. And there's going to be an easy way to get this because I'm going to have the link to Amazon in the show notes. I'm going to have links to get connected to Corey. So if you need a marketing coach, if you need your website done like mine, just anything that you need that this guy can do, I cannot recommend him enough. So guys, I'm going to make it easy to get connected and I'm going to get you in touch with the right person.
Dude, you're the man. I appreciate you being a part of
course.
Go Get It Nation. And you know, obviously there's nothing I won't do for you. Well, you know, anytime you need help from me, you know where to reach out to. And I appreciate you being a brother and a friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too, my friend. So thank you. And guys, you know the deal. We'll be back here next week as we're wrapping out season 4. Crazy to say we're coming up on our 2-year birthday, but here we are. But I couldn't think of a better way to do it than coming out here with Corey and getting another great interview in. And I thank you guys for being here. Go check out Corey's book, Going the Distance. I know you won't regret it. Get in touch with him if you need anything. Everything is in the show notes. You know, I like to make it easy for you. Get a shirt, get some merch. I've got all that down there too. And just help support the show and go get it. Go chase your dreams and do it the smart way. Get Corey in your corner. And I know you hear me. The I Know You Hear Me podcast is a presentation of Flynn Hendrix Enterprises. We thank you for tuning in this week, and we hope you'll check out our sponsors and advertisers. Nice.